mo, sir?
Wala pa na ako na-seen. Probably,
Oh.
ako lang ikuan. Kano sabi niya na-submit?
Ako ganinang 8:40 ng uban kay gahapon.
Sige lang. Sige lang. Most of those nga nakakuha, ako ba gi thumbs up, no? So katong wala mga thumbs up, i-follow up lang ko para makuha, ma-refresh. So i-message lang na submitted na para ma-refresh ng inyong one.
Thank you, sir.
Because I did not open my Facebook and Messenger yesterday. So actually, basta Sunday, I don't normally I share away with my kanang task or trabaho. So most of the time, ako Sunday, relax agad. So kung nag-send mo Sunday, most probably wala na ako na ma-view. Ngayon na pa ako na makaroon pa ako na adlaw ma-view. Palihog lang ko kuan, no? Message PM para ma-refresh ng inyo ang katong inyong mga names. Okay? So to continue, actually this is the last example we have last meeting. So we will continue with basic electrical connections. Okay? So we have series connections and parallel connections as basic connections, but there are combinations of the two. So it's not purely series and not purely parallel. Okay, so in fact, most of our systems are combinations, and comparing between series and parallel, ang pinaka-common is ang parallel. Sometimes miscall na siya, misuse of word, wrong use of word. Sometimes minta nga naka-series ng load. So most of the time, for example, when we switch on or switch off, when we operate switches, sometimes makita na itong on dugan ang duha ka suga or tulo ka suga, and we thought already nga series na sila, no? Actually, most of the time, most of the connections that we normally see are parallel, no? Dahil series. The only series makita nato is kanang ato mga series lightings, which are actually pwede na siya kay gagmay man kay nang voltahe kada lamp. So ordinary loads na to, like for example kanato mga suga nga ikuan, they cannot be connected in series. Otherwise, if you are going to connect them in series, they will not operate. Okay? So even electricians, no, even some electrical engineers, no, that's the irony. That's the irony, because electrical engineers na or electrician na sila, no, electrical practitioners na sila, but you cannot say 100% they know the proper terminologies, no, in the electrical terms. That's why I also usually tell my students, we have to be very careful with our terminologies. Okay, though for example, kung miyong ka sa layman's term nga naka-series man gyud duha ka suga, what is meant is that usa ka control, duha ka suga or tulo ka suga ang gi-control, meaning usa ka press nimo sa button sa switch nimo, probably magdungan og siga or magdungan og paong ng imo mga load. But as I have said, they are not connected in series, they are connected in parallel rather, no? But the terms used by layman, including non-layman, when you say non-layman, you're talking about mga electrical practitioners. RS, you raise your hands.
Start the record, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for reminding.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sige. By the way, I'm going to open na lang tingali Google Drive, no, para ato lang ako i-share dito ang atong mga recorded nga kuan. Kasi nyo, mga icons yung Google account. If you have already Google accounts. Or asa man yung mas kuan favorable masend ang atong mga recorded videos or recorded nga kuan. Okay, I think this is heavy sa kuan, no? Bukat kung ako i-send
Dala Google Classroom, sir.
sa Google Classroom mo pa limit siya.
Oh, ambot, sir.
Wala, sir mo. Direct na siya sa Google Drive.
Sige. Okay, so I'm starting the recording na, no? So again, going back. So as what I have said, these are layman's expression or terminologies. But again, as I have said, even non-layman, even electrical practitioners tend to use the wrong word, no? So kanamingon ta nga you have tulo ka suga by one press of the switch dungan sila paong. And if you're going to ask somebody, mingon nila sila, naka-series mo ng tulo. No? So layman, ordinary mga non-electrical or non-engineering students or non-engineering practitioners, mga ordinary one, acceptable na siya. But I cannot, no, I cannot understand, or it's not acceptable for me, for engineers, even bisag dili EE, to use the term series when in fact, as I have said, series is very uncommon. Uncommon na siya, no? It's only, you can only find series normally with our series lightings. Okay? So kung gadungan na og palong ng tulo ka suga o gadungan siga ng tulo ka suga, they are actually parallel, connected, and connected to a common supply. Usara ka supply, usara ka source, no? Or actually usara ka controller. So but they are not connected in series. So sometimes I don't normally, we don't normally correct for if you hear that from laymen, no, kana mga non-engineering. Murago na agad nga, I think this is very familiar, no, sa inyo, no? When you go to Carbon, or when you go to mga tindahan, when you go to mga mga common, mga tiangge, when you ask for a price, normally they would tell you nga kana tag G's ang gramo, di ba? When you buy kana mga lamas or vegetables, muta ka pila. Normally they would tell you tag G's ang gramos, no? For example, if you buy kamote, pila man ng kamote nga tag G's ang gramo. For me, kung istriktuhon nimo ang engineering, I do not buy that kamote. Kay kung ato nang istriktuhon, pila man gid ang kilo sa kamote. If the tindera tells you that the kamote is 10 pesos per gramo, mo nilang term, gramo. So pila man gid ang kamotiha. That's a very expensive kamote, no? That's 10,000 pesos because 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. Di ba? So if you strictly follow the engineering notation, that should not be the case, no? That's wrong. But sa ilaan, what they meant by gramos is actually 1 guhit, no? And that's equivalent to 100 grams. So that a kilo is divided into 10 slices or 10 guhits. So that means that if you buy that kamote, that's only 100. Okay? Pero kung imo istriktuhon based on how they describe it, that's 10 pesos per gramo. Piting mahalas kamote, no? So, but you don't go there and make corrections, no? Hindi kami nga ato ka sa carbon, may taka lang mo 10 pesos per gramo. Ginuang ninyo dili na mao. So do not do that. Kay mo ato ka dito among the 1,000 people there, 100 people there, ikaw ray gano'n na gyud ana. So meaning ikaw ray lahi. And we know sa ato ang idioms nga ang lahi, ang gasuhi mo'y buang, di ba? So no matter how right you are, if you're alone, then you are the eccentric. You are the dili kasakto. So anyway, as Sam said, but if you dip in a group of electrical engineers or engineers, no, you have the right to correct them because they are supposed to know these things. No? We are supposed to know these things. Okay. So how do you detect, how do you describe series connections? No? So an electrical component, no, based on the definition here that I write, is connected in series if it is connected in such a way, no, as only one point is common between any two components, and there exists the following condition. So meaning, for example, between resistors 1 and 2, they are connected in series because there is only one point common between resistor 1 and resistor 2. If you can count two common points between resistor 1 and resistor 2, then the two are not in series. There should only be one point common to these two resistors, and that is this point here. No? So this point here is the common point for resistor 1 and resistor 2. Likewise with resistor 2 and resistor 3, you only have one common point, and that is that point. Okay, so that is very important. You have to know how to describe or how a series connection looks like, no? Or would look like. Okay, so there exists the following condition. Number one condition is the current must be the same in all parts. No, so if that is the connection, then the current must be the same. So the current across R1 should be equal to the current across R2 should be equal to the current across R3. There should be no change in the current. Otherwise, if the current changes, then that is not anymore series. Okay, dili na siya ma-series. So in another analogy, you can imagine a pipe, no? So na kay tubig. If they are connected in such a way that there is no other path for water to flow, meaning the same water is flowing from one end to another end, from one pipe to another pipe, then they are connected series, no? So ang imong pipe are connected in series. So current here, call that I1, current here, call that I2, and current here, or call that I3, should be equal. No? So they should be equal for that to be considered series. So that I1 or I total, call that I, is equal to I1 equal to I2 equal to I3. Okay, so that's the basic fundamental requirements, or that is the basic principle of the series connection or connected circuit elements. So the voltage for this case for series, the voltage is the sum of the voltages V1, V2, V3 should be equal to the supply voltage or applied voltage. So that V equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. Okay. So following Ohm's law, di ba, we have already stated that Ohm's law is equal to I equal to voltage over resistance, so that if we rearrange this, BIR, you can express this further as so V being I times R, equal to V1, that's I1 R1 equal plus I2 R2 plus I3 I3, no? But the currents are equal, no? So I1, I2, I3 equal to I. So therefore, this is I, R equal to I, quantity R1 plus R2 plus R3, no? So that you can factor out I, what is left is R equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3, no? For series. Okay. So for power P, total power is equal to power absorbed by resistor 1, power converted by resistor 2 or absorbed by resistor 2, and power absorbed in resistor 3, P3. So that's a general expression of power. Okay. So as long as there is only one current flowing, there's no other path that will complete the circuit, then that is considered as series. Okay. For example, if this is the connection, say for example R1, R2, and R3. But there is another connector R4 here. Is R1, R2, R3, or R1, R2, R3 connected still in series or not? Are they connected in series? Or can we say that R1, R2, R3, and R4 are all connected in series? So we can examine, no? Is R1 and R2 connected in series? The answer is yes, because there's only one point common to them. Yes, no? So it obeys the same principle that there should only be one point common to the two. And if you project a current in R1, that should be the same current that's going to flow in R2, meaning there is no part of the current being diverted. Okay, so they are connected in series. Comparing that with R3, R2 and R3, how many points are common in between R2 and R3? So if you strictly look at the diagram, usara gyud, di ba? Usara. So nilita nga, sir, it falls in the condition that the circuit can be connected or can be considered as series if they are connected in such a way that only one point is common. So there is only one point common. And no, pero naaman diri and man, dili man or. And meaning if this condition here, one common point has already been established and there exists this condition, there also must exist these two conditions here, that the current is the same in all parts. No, that the current must be the same in all parts. In this case, if I have here current I1, that will be the same current I2. But can you say that the current in resistor 2 would be the same current in resistor 3?
No, sir.
No. Because pag abot ani nga point here, na siya duha ka agyanan. Part of that current goes to I3 and the other part of current I2, this current I2, other part of that current I2 becomes current I4. Therefore, I3 is only a part, is only a small portion of I2. No, pwede siya 1/2 or a fraction of I2 lang. Kay pwede masad nga kani one part kani 3 parts. Or kani siya 3 parts kani 1 part. Or pareha sila half. No? So meaning, current I3 is only a portion of current I2. Okay? Thus, I2 and I3 are not equal. In this case, I2 is not equal to I3. Therefore, I2 and R3 are not series. Okay? So, ang pinaka-importante yun kayong component batayan nyo is there should be letter A. No? Kaning letter A. There exists only one current in all parts of that circuit to be considered as series. Therefore, kaning circuit diri has R1 and R2, no? R1 and R2 only in series. Okay? R1 and R2 are the only ones connected in series. Okay. Questions so far? So series resistors or series connections are also called voltage divider, because the voltage will not be equal if they are not equal in terms of values, or the voltage supplied will be divided among the number of series connections. No? For example, mayroon ka V as the supply voltage, the value of V will be divided among B1, B2, and B3. Okay? So among B1, B2, and B3. That explains why if I have lamp, no? So if I have this kanang mga suga ato lamp, so for example, normally sa ato ang kanang mga lamp, they are rated to 20 volts. So kung na ako'y supply 220, no? And I have 3 lamps. Tumiyon ka nga, kung ato strictly speaking, kung ka series na sila, tulo ka lamp. No? Assuming nga parehas of wattage, if they are connected in series, then if you have a 220 volts here, supply, how much will be the voltage per lamp? Okay. So if they are identical, then each lamp will only receive a third of the supply voltage. No? So this is 220 over 3, 220 over 3. Okay? So therefore, if in order for this lamp to operate, it must absorb 220 volts. Therefore, it cannot operate because ang madawat is only a third of the supply voltage. Therefore, they must not be connected in series. Okay? So they must not be connected in series. Otherwise, they will not get the required voltage for this type of loads to operate. Questions so far? May erase. Delay. Were you able to attend or katong sa webinar sa kuan? Calculator techniques?
Sa live ra, sir.
Sa live na? Actually, no, I attended the entire session. No, I attended the entire kuan. I was there all the time. Malay siya no nga I've been using calculators for a long time, but I have not explored those some of the kuan no na mention ni Ma'am Iris. No? So una usahay, it's nice to attend those kind of seminars. Though kay magtuo mo gud ta nga kumaon ako na kay I've been using calculators my whole life. But you may be using your calculators your whole life, but that doesn't guarantee that you already know your calculators, no? That much. You probably know the calculator based on the use that or that the usual functions that is applicable sa inyo. But that doesn't guarantee that you have already used, you have already familiarized your calculator. So mura na gyud na to nga mura uyab nakaila ka sa surface, but the longer, but it doesn't mean nga dugay na kayo mo kailan nagyud ka tanan. You have to explore all of that person to be able to know. So ako na lang ko anong time because I'm going to open another Zoom because 1 minute na lang. So far wala mo kuan. What was your kuan? Kuan lang, honest to kuan lang, so that we'll be able to know sa kung sa mga kuan comment ninyo about the webinar. Pas-pas ra kayo? Or was it focused totally sa mga application sa EE? But I don't think so, no? Kailangan magito siya mga discussion on applicable sa DE. Applicable sa differential equation. Okay, so putulan niyo siya. I'm going to open another one so that we'll be able to continue. So, ako send dayon sa Messenger.